To Hear No Movie, See No.
A podcast where one host watches a movie with no sound and the other listens to it with no picture.
I'm your host, Hunter Diaz, and this week I watched
Snowpiercer. I'm Evan Duncan, and this week I watched Snowpiercer.
Yes, I listened to Snowpiercer.
Okay, so let's clarify. You listened. You had a blindfold on.
Yes, this confuses me every time. I listened.
All right, you listened. I watched. You listened. Okay, yeah, because I had headphones in the whole time.
Yeah.
And you had a blindfold on. All right, it's coming back to me. It's coming back to me. As if we didn't just do it.
I always when I think about it, I'm like, oh, okay. Do I remember what they looked like? Oh yeah, I do. So then that means I watched. But I just saw the poster.
Oh, okay, yeah. Fair shot. I don't even know what the poster looks like. I was thinking about that today, how we're gonna advertise it, and I was thinking about if we could do the poster or not. I don't even know what it looks like.
Well, I see the commercial for the TV show.
Yeah, there's a TV show coming out. We are not supported by these people. This is just great timing for us.
Yeah.
This movie was directed by Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah.
Question mark?
Period. It was directed by Bong Joon-ho.
Hell yeah. And that's
Oscar award winner.
Won an Oscar
Bong
this
Joon-ho.
year for Parasite.
He won 3? He won a bunch.
He won somewhere between 3 and 7.
Yeah, he won several.
Several Oscars. So this movie we knew was going to be good going into it. I mean, we even had... I think there was definitely some hesitation going into this, if we should even do it. Because, we know it's going to be a good movie.
Yes, that was the big issue for me, was... we brought it up, and our roommate Gage was out here, and he goes, oh man, that's a good movie. And he just goes, I get really sad when you guys do good movies.
Yeah, he gets really sad. Yeah, hell, we get sad. This might be, I don't know what your experience was, but watching it, I was I could tell this was a good movie. It was the same experience you got when you did Detective Pikachu, when you were just movies are cool. That's how I felt watching this movie.
Really?
I was movies are fucking great, man. Movies are so cool. This one was incredible. I really loved this movie.
When I was listening to it, first of all, listening to Chris Evans is always cool.
Yeah. Did he do his on-breath voice?
Oh yeah, the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, his very except Knives Out, he doesn't do that as much as in Knives Out.
Yeah, he didn't do it in Knives Out as much, but yeah, he usually is. He's we need to get to the boats.
What is it in Knives Out where he's eat shit, eat shit,
eat shit, eat shit, eat shit, eat shit.
And you definitely eat shit. But yeah, that didn't happen in this one. But yeah, he was on breath the whole movie.
Yeah. Do your on breath voice for the people who aren't actors and don't know what on breath means.
It's just I haven't
it's
done...
It's like a... Oh my god,
I'm hilarious. Version of your voice, I guess. I don't know.
Think of the movie voice.
It's while you exhale. It's when you exhale while you're talking.
I always imagine Derek Zoolander.
That's perfect, actually.
Yeah, that's how Derek Zoolander talks in Zoolander. Ben Stiller. Okay, so Snowpiercer. Very interesting movie, of course. It's going to be Bong Joon-ho, so he has very interesting... The whole movie I was waiting for a big plot twist to happen that I feel never happened.
There was a few.
There were a few, twists, but it wasn't like Parasite twists.
Wait, how solid of an understanding do you feel you had?
Oh, I got this movie on lock.
What?
Yeah, this movie, there's a few things here and there that are, foggy, but, I got this movie. I could have a sophisticated debate about this movie. I watched this movie.
Wow.
I know this
you
movie.
If someone... So usually, right, when someone asks us, oh, have you seen this movie? And this movie we did for the podcast, I always say, well, I've listened to it.
Right. No, I could say, oh, yeah, dude, let's talk about it.
Really?
I know every...
No way.
I don't know the nooks and crannies of it, right? But I know enough to hold a conversation. Enough of, with
I
space.
actually... You know what? I think I do, too. But the thing is, it's very similar to, when we do any sort of action movie where it's cool, I know this happened, and this happened, but, in between those three things, there was a lot of grunting. And just
you don't know how it happened, but you know it happened.
Yep.
That's what I always say. You don't know how, but you know it. And I feel I know how, but I don't know what. No? Yeah. No, I guess I know how, but I don't know what for, if that makes sense. So I guess my big question for this movie, I want to see if you got as well then, is why were they trying to get to the front of the train?
Okay. I can answer that.
Because, the whole movie, I know they're trying to get to the front of the train. You have the back of the train is for, the prisoners and, the low-lifes. And, the front of the train is more so the high-lifes. But you kind of get early on like, oh yeah, they don't like it here. They're trying to plot to get out of here to get to the front of the train. And I know that there's a son or that gets like taken away. No one knows why. And then the mom's like, "Oh, I'm coming with y'all on your voyage." It's weird that it's.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. So okay. Well, so that's something that happens at one point.
What?
They take the like kids and you have to be like a certain height, and then they have like this like kid slave thing going on in the front of the train, or like they work underneath the like train floor, and like are pumping gears and shit. It's weird. But point being, it's weird for this movie to be such an adventure movie of like, and it's on a train. It's like it is. That's like true. You have like a group of people who have like each person has a set of skills,
and they go on like a journey, and
they all go on a journey.
Yeah.
Then they only go like 50 feet.
They go like they just in the same vessel that they started in.
Right. Exactly. It is insane. So why do they go to the front? What's the purpose for going to the front of the train?
Well, let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
A very good place to start.
Some would say.
So in 2014,
right,
there was global warming was a problem, right? Yes. Little do they know, still will be in 2020.
Except our ozone layer, we fixed that. For the record.
Yeah, because we all had to get sick and die in order to fix it.
No. We fixed it long before all this, actually. So good news. Hey, there's some good news here.
But, yeah, so in 2014, global warming was a problem. So they invented this artificial cooling agent called CW7.
Okay.
And they released that into the air, and it made all the temperature, it would cool the temperatures down.
Right.
Right?
Oh my god, so it was an artificial ice age?
Basically. So what happened was...
Wow, I thought it was completely natural.
What we learn is then it's, I think, 17 years later. So I think it's like 2032.
Yeah.
I think. I could be wrong. But it's like 2030 something.
Yeah, I definitely knew it was like in the future, but not like the far, far future.
Yeah.
It was like...
a guy named Wilford invented this train.
Wilford.
Woodford?
Yeah, I said it on the thing.
Definitely Wilford.
Definitely Woodford.
I'm standing by Wilford.
I'm gonna look it up. Yeah, I'm standing by Woodford.
Wait, should we Google it?
I don't know if she'll know that.
Okay, Google. Who is the villain in Snowpiercer?
Wilford. On the website.
So what? My dick,
no.
dude.
Wilford is the
yes.
protagonist of the 2014.
No. Bullshit.
Also, I'm shocked she was like able to answer that question.
She answered it so quick. What? No.
Yes, dude.
Wilford. Yeah, you're right. Wilford's played by Ed Harris. I know that.
So a guy named Wilford invented this train that goes and it does one lap around. It like does a continuous circle, and one lap is a year.
Right. Yeah, and it's all in Eurasia. That's where the train is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they show a map at one point, and it's like, oh yeah, at this point we hit Christmas, and at this point we hit New Year's. And I think it's around New Year's on this movie.
Yes.
I think someone said happy. Oh yeah, because so the cool thing was there was a actor in there. I guess spoke I don't know what language, but he spoke a different language.
There was a few languages in this movie.
Yeah.
So that fucked me up.
Yeah. So there were subtitles for those languages.
Yeah,
so
I was so pissed.
I got the subtitles on this one.
I was so pissed.
So there was one part where he was like, I think he killed somebody. He was like,
it was actually one of the actors from Parasite.
It was the dad in Parasite. Yep.
Yeah.
How'd you know that?
Because I was trying to figure out. I was watching. I was listening, and I
jacuzzi you.
I was like, oh, what language is this? Because I really like languages, so I was trying to figure it out, and then I was like, I can't. I'm at a loss. So I Googled the movie, looked at the list of actors, recognized the guy from Parasite, and then I was like, oh, okay. He's a Korean actor, so I assumed it was
Korean. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, I'd assume Korean as well. But I mean, I couldn't hear it, so
Korean actor, Korean director.
That's true. That is true, and they've now worked on 2 movies together.
Apparently, this guy's in all of Bong Joon-ho's movies.
Apparently, they've worked on all the movies together.
Yeah.
So, all right, makes
which
sense.
is cool.
No, it's really cool. He's a really good actor. I really like him. He's one of those actors that doesn't look like your leading man type. And
Well, so while I was sitting here bored fucking during like a music scene in this movie, I was reading up on him. He's never trained.
Really?
Never trained in acting. He just like was in a community theater growing up and just liked it, and he was just like, oh, this is cool.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's all there is to acting. It's just the belief that you can do it.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's just like, like the difference between a good actor and a bad actor is someone who believes in himself.
Yeah, we're gonna get into something that once we hit the stop button.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. That's like
there's so many people we know.
That's a cool way to think about it, right? Like about anything, because there's like if you do anything for 100,000 hours, you're a professional, right? There's like those things, but also like no.
Yeah. I think I agree. The quote that I fell in love with acting with, and when I realized it was, I was watching behind the scenes of Fast 5, right? And it was
yeah, dude.
Yeah, right. Hell yeah. And they were like, oh God, you spilled all your water. Not all of it. You spilled a good portion.
Oh fuck.
Go clean it up. Get a paper towel.
I'm getting it.
As I continue to tell my story, so they were like interviewing them behind sets, and it was like Paul Walker, and he was like running around messing with people. He was wearing like a bald cap, pretending like he was Vin Diesel and stuff. And then at one point, I think they asked him, or they asked the girl who plays Mia. They were like, "Oh, what are you like having a good time or something? Like, what's the best part about this?" And whoever it was just like, this is great. They're like, yeah, I show up all day and I just play house with these people. They're like my family, and I just get to play pretend. It's like I never really grew up, and I was like, it's great. And that was when I was like, that's actually a great way to look at it. Like you just play pretend.
Yeah, I love. Brian Tyree Henry did an awful movie, Hotel Artemis.
I've seen that on a plane.
It's Brian Tyree Henry, right?
I think so.
And apparently someone else in it is one of his good friends.
Right.
And they were asking him after, they were like, oh, is it hard for you to be on set with your friend? He was like, no. Yeah. That's like, he's like, I get paid to play with my friends. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's all just playing. You're just playing around. Having a fun time. So
it's not piercing.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll sit here and talk about acting all day, because that's what our degrees are in.
Yeah, right.
So we love to talk about that. So alright, so Snowpiercer. We haven't even gotten to like the start. Well, so how much of an understanding do you have of this movie?
Well, wait. We've already had that. I've got a pretty solid understanding. Okay. It's just like the in-between.
I missed that part. I missed that. I know. I said.
Yeah. So they released this cooling agent in 2014, and then it ends up going way too far, freezes the whole fucking planet. Okay. So this guy Wilford invented this train because he knew one day it was going to go too far, and everyone would need to be on this train, and so that's the whole premise.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The only way to survive is to stay on this train or you'll freeze to death.
Right. Because, which I guess I get, but like why a train?
I don't know, dude. Cooler than a boat?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why not I guess boats if the oceans would freeze over, but
But the train pierced snow. It had like the snow piercing front, so it was
yeah. Well, it didn't really do a good job at that later on. We'll get into that later, but it didn't.
So
pierce
when the movie starts out, because I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm just
no. We need to get to the beginning and start getting on it.
We just immediately know Captain America is planning a revolt.
Okay. Yeah, he's planning a revolt. He's getting like these little like messages in like a bullet capsule thing.
Oh.
Yeah, he's getting like these it's like a one-word message, and that he's getting in like the food that they get served as like black blocks that are like
they're called protein blocks.
Protein blocks, and they're just ground up cockroaches. Is what they are. And it's disgusting. And he then gets one that has like a message in it, and he like unravels it. And we never see what the first message is, but I'm guessing it's a clue to like how to do the revolution or something.
Yeah. So then he's talking to an older guy.
Yeah. At
the very beginning, and they're talking about like, oh, okay. And first thing we learn is that there's been other revolutions in the past, but the reason why none of them worked was because nobody has gone for the engine, right? So Captain America mentions, he's like, oh, if we control the engine, we control the world.
Right, makes sense.
Or
the world is the train, yeah.
Yeah, or we control the train. And so he's planning like, oh, okay, cool, we need to go to the engine. But this guy who he's talking to, like this older guy, knows a ton about the train. Like, I assume he used to work for Wilford or something.
Maybe.
And he mentions, okay, well, one thing that people overlook is bullets are extinct. They've used all of the bullets that they had on the previous revolts.
Oh,
But the thing is, the people who run the train use their guns as scare tactics to keep people in line.
That makes sense. There was this whole sequence of Chris Evans, like, or he, I think I caught his name actually. It was Curtis.
Yeah, his name was Curtis Edwards, so it was still CE. It was very similar to Chris Evans.
Yeah, makes sense. Captain America. CE, man, you can't get away from it. So yeah, there's one like sequence where he's like looking at the guards' guns as he's like walking by them. He's like examining them. So I guess that's what he was doing. He was examining to see if there was bullets in them or not. And I guess he found out that there wasn't. Makes sense.
Yeah, and right off the bat, they are. So we learned that very beginning of the movie. And then the revolution starts pretty soon, unless you have anything.
I mean, so what really happened until the revolution was that we found out that like kids get taken to a certain height to go, like I was telling you earlier. And then one dad like started like raising a fit and like started swinging at people, and then because he like kind of revolted in his own accord right there, what they do is they take his hand and they stick it outside the train for like 10 minutes, and then it like freezes, and then they bring it inside and then smash it with a hammer. So then he didn't have an arm. So that was like his punishment, is that he lost his arm.
And they do that to everybody.
Yeah, they do that. That's like the punishment. That's like the crime. And so you see a lot of like older people, like the guy with the goatee that you're talking about. I think he didn't have a leg. Oh, well, he had a goatee. I only know him as Goatee Man.
Oh, is he the old guy?
Yeah, he's the old guy.
Gilliam
Goatee guy. So Triple G.
Yeah.
So he didn't have a leg and like a left arm. So it was like he's definitely been in some trouble before.
And so like one thing we've forgotten to address, back of the train is lower class.
Right. Well, no, I said that at the beginning. The back of the train's lower, and then the front of the train's upper class. And
so they feed the lower class people those protein blocks you had mentioned, and they're the goatee guy and Chris Evans are talking, and then they bring the protein blocks to everybody, and I guess like it's just kind of like fair game. It seemed as though.
Well, no, they like all get in a line and then like and then they each take one protein block. You get like one protein block a day.
Yeah, and
but
they got
Chris
hits.
Evans was like trying to find a specific one because it had a message in it. I guess he knew.
And then all of a sudden, Gilliam tells somebody they don't have any bullets, and all the people just start shouting it. So one guy just goes, "They don't have any bullets," and everyone fucking flipped.
Similar. I mean, well, it was more planned than that. It wasn't as chaotic as that. Like it was, they were right there at the moment where they were going to get the protein bars, and they had this giant like pipe thing. Like think like a 5-foot radius pipe.
Okay.
Or not radius, but diameter. I'd say.
Yeah.
And they all were holding it, but they were covering it in the crowd. Like everybody was like kind of on top of it, and like just made it look natural. And then that's when he shouted it. So then once he shouted that, everybody started like bomb rushing the guards, and they took that pipe because they have like 7 gates that like open and close simultaneously.
Yeah.
To get to the next cart, so they needed to ram that pipe into all the gates, that way they wouldn't shut, and they did. They like successfully did that, and that's.
Oh.
And then there's one dude who's like, and he's like the acrobatic of the group. And he like stood up on the pipe at one point, and there was like this big guy at the end of the pipe that they were like they couldn't get past because he was like swinging a sledgehammer back and forth, and so this guy just like hauled ass across the pipe, jumped up on a rail, and like it did the thing where like you put your legs around the dude's neck and like snap his neck.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
And it was just so like it was like this big guy who just went down like that because this one acrobatic guy just like saw his opportunity. He was my favorite character, the acrobatic guy. And then they get to like the front of this cart. And then they need to get to, they need to save this like electrician dude.
All of this is new to me.
Yes, now they need to get this electrician dude who is the Korean actor.
Yes, so he is, do you know what his job was?
I'm assuming electrician because he just always was messing with wires.
So he was the security specialist for Wilford who designed all the locks on the gates. So in between each train car is gates, I assume.
Yeah, there's gates and stuff. He even says that, yeah, they refer to him as gates, right?
Yeah, they just keep saying gates, and they
just like doors, they go.
He's a drug addict.
Yeah,
there's this drug going around.
What's it called?
Chrono.
That's it. And it's like this little. It looks like a green Lego.
Really?
Like a green block, and you like sniff it. It's like it gets you high.
but it was created by the people at the high class end of the train to keep the lower class people like addicted to something.
Right.
Because then they could use it over them.
Yeah, but our electrician dude, do you have a name for him?
No.
Oh, damn. All right. Well, he
security specialist.
Yeah, security specialist. He sees a bigger purpose in it. He finds out that it's actually like combustible, but that comes much later in the end. So he's actually like not even really addicted to it. He's like actually harboring it because he knows it's explosive.
Oh, see, Chris Evans like yells at him at first. So like they need him in order to go to the front of the train, which is where the engine is.
Right.
So that's why they were going to the front of the train, was because they needed to get to the engine. But
right. So it's just a whole revolution. I mean, that was like what I assumed. I guess I was kind of hoping it was a little bit more interesting.
It does get more interesting.
Oh, the whole thing's super interesting.
Yeah.
So they then, now there's like, so they get the dude, they recruit him, and he's like, oh, my daughter's coming with as well. He has like a daughter that he's like, two's coming with, so you got to count me and her. And then there's like this big cool fight scene on the train where like all the guards like now ready, and they all have like, you know, like their what do they have? Those like swords or something. They were just like this big brawl that they happened. And there's like the girl who's like in charge of them. She has like a little perm, you know.
Oh yeah, the lady in charge. That's what I called her.
Yeah. She had a perm. She looked horrible.
So I thought she ruled the train. I didn't know Wilford ruled. There was someone else.
Yeah, me neither. I forgot. Like we even looked into the actors before this started, and we were like, "Who's in this?" Like Ed Harris and and then like 75% of the movie, then I was like, "Oh my God, where's Ed Harris?"
Oh yeah.
He's the one who plays Wilford in the end. But so there's like this whole cool crazy fight scene that it's hard to describe, but just take my word for it.
Yeah, I'll take your word. I mean, I think it sounded cool.
I was listening to Infinity War soundtrack when this was happening, when Thor arrived on Battlefield.
That's fucking awesome.
So it was, in my mind, that was a cool cool ass
awesome.
And I mean, the only thing to really note there is that like at one point there was like snow that fell on the ice on the railroad track, and they were like, so it was piercing the snow, but it kept like bouncing on the snow because it was so much, so like they couldn't get all of it, so the train was like constantly like flopping around, and they were like, and at one point they got on a bridge and were like flopping around, so it was like it was an element of suspense that was there, like, oh, the train might fall, as they're all like fighting each other.
Oh fuck.
So that's why we were like, yeah, the snow, it pierces the snow. I was like, well, didn't do a great job. And then
the lady in charge. We gotta talk about her.
Yeah.
Because after that first revolt, she comes and like talks to everyone in the back of the train.
Yeah.
And she says the most insulting shit to a crowd of people that I've ever heard somebody say.
It looked like she was insulting the shit out.
Man. It was like, so she says to them, she goes, all right, wait, can you pull up my notes?
Your notes? Oh yeah.
I was taking notes on my phone during the movie, and then I realized we use my phone to record the video. So I screenshot my notes, and the bit will be that I have to read them through Evan.
Alright, what do you need?
It should be towards the top.
Okay, I'm at the top.
It's a quote.
Everyone has a preordained position in the train.
Is that the first quote?
Would you wear a shoe on your head?
That one. Yeah. So she says...
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Would you wear a shoe on your head? No. You wear a hat on your head. A shoe goes on your foot. I am a hat. You are a shoe. When the shoe seeks to be on the head, a line is crossed.
Yeah, so she basically calls all of the people shoes. Like she says, like
she puts a shoe on a dude's head. The dude who got his arm chopped off, while his arm was outside the train, he put a shoe on her head.
Damn.
So it was like that makes sense now.
Yeah.
I was like, why the fuck should you put the random shoe?
Yeah, so she told everyone, she was like, I am the hat. I belong at the top. You are a shoe. You belong at the bottom.
Damn.
And she said that to everybody, and she was like, and so that's when we learned that everybody on this train has a. She said it, and they say it many times. Has a preordained position. So if you are at the bottom, you are assigned to be at the bottom for the rest of your life. Right. You cannot work your way up. Everyone is supposed to be where they are forever.
Dude, that's fucked up. That's fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
So then we get back to the fight, right?
So that's about, so that happens right after the revolt, and then they go into that, I assume that bigger fight that you were
the bigger fight, they're on like one train car, and like the lights get turned off, they go in a tunnel, they turn off the lights, all the guards have like night vision goggles, so they're like winning at first, and then like, then the crew from like the very back of the train like lights a match, and lights a torch, and then like they start bringing torches front. So then once they all get torches, then like the battle becomes equal again. But there's a really big moment
Damn.
here where Curtis has this like good friend the whole time.
Gilliam, right?
No, not the old dude. It's like
Okay.
a younger dude.
Edgar.
Probably. Let's say Edgar. I like Edgar.
Yeah.
And at one point, Edgar gets like he's taken by a dude and has like a knife around his throat, and the dude's like behind Curtis, and Curtis is trying to make his way to the front to the girl, and he sees that the girl just got injured because the acrobatic dude threw a knife at her leg, and so she has a knife in her leg, and she's like falling down and injured. She's trying to crawl for the door to get out. She realizes like, oh fuck, we're losing. So now Curtis is in the middle of this girl and then his friend who's hostage.
Oh shit.
So he has to make this decision, and he ultimately, it was like such a good, I mean, dude, I never realized how good of an actor Chris Evans really is. Like, I never want to tell people like, oh yeah, one of my favorite actors is Chris Evans, because everyone's like, oh, Captain America.
Yeah.
But like, this dude really portrayed, like, I got 100% his dilemma in that moment was like, do I save my friend, or do I, like, if I can get this girl, then like our revolution, you know, really can happen, or else she's gonna like close that door and we'll be fucked.
Fuck.
So he
This
like,
is so much.
yeah,
Oh,
so,
this movie sounds so fucking cool. Dude.
so then he like looks at his friend, and his friend, I was hoping his friend would give him a look, like a nod, like do what you have to do, but he didn't. His friend, like, I think still wanted him to come and save him, like Edgar wanted him to save Edgar, but Curtis was like, can't do it, and went for the girl, and then Curtis ended up dying. Curtis ended up like getting stabbed. Like he tried to fight Edgar. I'm sorry, Edgar ended up like he tried to fight his way off the dude, but he ended up getting stabbed, and then Curtis eventually got to the girl, and then luckily, so yeah, they won that battle. They got the girl.
So before they get the girl, they realize. Do you know what happened with the water?
With the water.
Yeah.
The water. This. What do you mean?
So originally the plan is we need to get to the engine. If we control the engine, we control the train.
Right.
After that first revolt and that big fight, they realize the security guy, he knows the whole layout of the train because he built all the gates.
Yeah.
So he says, oh hey, the next car has the water supply. And Chris Evans was like, oh shit, while we're on our way to the engine, we need to take over the water supply, because if we control the water supply, then we control the whole world.
Oh, okay.
So they take over the water supply, and that after they take over the water supply car, that's when she realized, like, I thought what happened was the lady in charge was just like, fuck, they're gonna win.
Yeah.
So she just gave in and was like, you want to talk to Wilford? Fine, come with me.
Yeah. Well, but she had a plan. She had a secret plan.
Yeah.
So then they like go and eat sushi, but they force the girl to eat like the protein blocks while they eat sushi.
Oh wait, there's a whole lot about that we learned between now and then.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Do you learn about how the protein blocks are made?
yeah. That's what I'm saying. They're made of cockroaches, right?
Like, that's not what I got.
Oh, that's what I saw. They were like cockroaches, and they were like grinding them up, and then like putting them in. Like Curtis almost like threw up because he saw what they were eating the whole time.
Yeah, and like so they take over the water supply.
Yeah.
And then after they take over the water supply, they like stop in like the food car, the one that like they make the protein blocks.
Yeah.
But the lady says to them, the lady in charge, she says to Chris Evans, she's like, you want to see Wilford? Like, Wilford is divine. Wilford is all-knowing. Like, he controls the engine, and he made this train that saved us. And she's like, he won't have any time for you. And he's like, take me to him.
Yeah.
So she says, fine, I'll take you to Wilford. And I guess she was like developing a plan in her head as that went.
Yeah.
So they stop in the food car, and
yeah. Before that, they actually passed through like a garden. It's like a beautiful garden train where people like gardening, and they pass through like an aquarium, you know. So they have the aquarium like all around them, and it's like, you know, stingrays and stuff are flying around them. And
so when they're in the aquarium, so she says to him, "Oh, let's have sushi," and he says, "Sushi? We're in the back eating protein blocks, and you're eating sushi?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah." And this is as they're walking through the aquarium, and he mentions on the aquarium, "Oh, I thought all these things were extinct." She goes, "There's like," and that's when it broke to him. There's so many things that people in the back are told are extinct just because they save it for the people in the front.
Right.
So fish, in the beginning of the movie, one of them says like, "Oh, steak has been extinct for years."
Yeah, no, they walk through a whole meat
They
locker.
walk through a whole fucking room of people eating steak in the front. And so that's when he realizes, oh shit, the life on the front of this train is so different.
Dude,
like,
so
I knew
nice.
we were being oppressed, but I never knew how much.
Yeah.
And so she says to him, she has a fucking audacity to say to him, as they're walking through the aquarium, There's a note.
Oh, is it a note?
Yeah.
Alright,
It's a quote. What do you see?
We control the water, we control the negotiation.
Oh, that's what happens when they go through the water supply.
The engine is sacred, Wilford is divine, Wilford is merciful.
That's what she says about Wilford.
Lady in charge says, if I take you to the front, you have to kill him?
Oh, yes. That's what she says. That's what she told Curtis, was if I take you to the front of the train, you have to kill Wilford. So what I thought had happened was she realized, oh, I fucking hate working for this guy.
Oh, maybe.
So she said to Chris Evans, fine, I'll take you to the front, but you have to promise me you will kill
Maybe she had a little bit of a complex character in her. Because, I mean, I'm not saying, like, that's... I think that's actually right. I think she probably did tell them, like, oh, yeah, kill him, I hate it. Because at one point, like, it seems like she leads them into an ambush. But I think she was just trying to say whatever she could to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then there's another quote here that says, you guys are lucky. This is only served twice a year, January and July. This aquarium must be properly maintained. The number of units must be sustained in order to maintain proper ecological balance.
So she says that. She goes, that she, as they're walking through this aquarium,
Yeah.
she has the fucking nerve to say to him, oh, well, this aquarium, the thing about it is that we can only eat the fish from it twice a year because we can only, so this is what we learn. We have to kill a certain amount of the fish to make sure we maintain the right number of fish to maintain an ecological balance. And that is what they do on the train.
Right.
So they're literally, that's why I think they take kids away.
Yeah.
They take the kids away because they have to kill them in order to...
Well, they don't kill the kids, though.
We'll get there.
Well, I guess kind of. Well, that's weird. All right, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So
there's a huge twist at the end that I'm trying to not break throughout this whole explanation.
I might not know it then.
Yeah.
The ending was the only part for me that was a little bit more fuzzy than everything else. Yeah, I mean, then we get to, like, they get ambushed, kind of to speed things along here. They get ambushed by, like, a kindergarten teacher.
Yo, that scene was fucking crazy.
Dude, she's... Wow. Also, it's noted, we should note that throughout all this, the electrician that I call him, what do you call him?
Security specialist.
Security specialist and his daughter are constantly just, like, looking out the window. And that, like, is very important for later.
Really?
Yeah, so they're, like, they're not really fighting. And also the security specialist is, like, prohibiting his daughter to, like, kill anybody. He's like, no, once you kill somebody, like, you're kind of, like, you start just killing, you know?
Everything they said was in Korean. So.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, because there was, like, so many moments where, like, she, like, would have a knife and about to stab somebody, and then he'd be like, no, and he'd, like, grab her hand and be like, no.
Oh, dude, fuck you for watching this movie.
It was so good. And so, yeah, so they were always, like, looking at the window when, like, action was going on, and the whole movie, you're just like, why the hell do they just keep, like, taking these moments? And I'll explain it as we get on, but I do just want to note, for, like, story purposes.
Yeah? They're looking
they're
out
being
the window
ambushed, they're looking out the window.
Okay.
Yeah, they get ambushed by, like, this egg guy who's, like, giving eggs away in the kindergarten room, and then, like, the kindergarten teacher then, like, takes out, like, submachine guns and starts, like, shooting. And...
Yeah, so that's when we realized they do have bullets in the front of the train.
Yeah, exactly. They got bullets in front of the train.
Oh, fuck.
Dude, this was the part, I don't know if you heard me, I was very audible at this part, because as soon as she started pulling, she started shooting in the classroom. All the kids were gone at this point. So she started shooting in the classroom, and everybody ducks. And the acrobatic dude just, like, hops up and throws a knife so quick, and it hits her right in the throat.
Oh, dude.
And I was just like, oh my god, like, she had, like, zero life of, like, action. Like, I thought for sure it was going to be like, oh my god, we're pinned down, what do we do? And immediately just went, boom, and
that's fucking done. Crazy.
Meanwhile, the egg guy made his way to the back of the train, and, like, all the eggs were, like, mini grenades. And they, like, blew up and, like, started, like, they started shooting everybody, and, like, so, like, they killed everybody in the back of the train. And it, like, pissed the fuck out of Curtis.
Yeah, we learned that
he was watching on a screen.
74% of the people in the back of the train died.
Yeah. They, like, gunned down everybody. And there's this, like, one dude who's, like, who does it, who, like, becomes, like, he's then, like, looks at the screens, like, I'm gonna hunt you down next. And so then they have this cool moment where, like, the train's, like, turning, like, a U-turn, almost. And as it is, Curtis has this submachine gun from the kindergarten teacher, and they're, like, walking, and then the dude who was in the back of the train and killed everybody, he has, like, an AR, an assault rifle, and he, like, starts shooting through the glass and is shooting across the U-turn because it's, like, U, so you can see on the other side.
Oh,
so
shit.
he's, like, shooting them, and it's, like, such a far distance, like 50 meters probably. And then then Curtis, they all start ducking, and then Curtis starts shooting with a submachine gun, and then they both penetrate holes because it's obviously like a bulletproof glass. So finally they get like a hole perfect enough, and they're both like looking at each other 50 meters across, and they both just equally take one shot at the same time, and they both like hit, they ping right on the bulletproof glass, right where each other's heads are. First of all, there's no way Curtis has that good of an aim with a submachine gun. That's ridiculous.
That's fucking cool.
So I just accepted that like that was the movie. That was the movie trying to say magic? Hey, this guy can shoot, you know?
Right.
But,
well, I think at one point, Curtis used to be a front of the train guy.
Well, that makes sense, man.
I think he used to work for Wilford. I think this is like part of like a unexplained thing, but I think he used to be part of security for Wilford.
Dude, that makes sense because they both like laser scoped each other with like no scopes.
Damn.
So I thought that was really clever, the way that like they were shooting at each other across like a U-turn.
Dude, the next like 20 minutes of the movie from that like kindergarten classroom scene is just like fucking gunshots. The whole thing. It's just
it's just.
And I thought Curtis died.
Yo, so what happens is that dude catches up to them, and they start battling. That dude kills like everybody.
Yeah, he killed Gilliam, the old guy.
He killed the old guy. He killed the mom who was on the mom who was who her son got taken. Killed her. Killed the acrobat dude. And so the only people that are left are Curtis, the engineer or the electrician, and his daughter. That's it.
Yeah. Well, there's a big moment because Gilliam was leading this revolution. Gilliam was supposed to be like their leader, and Chris Evans was just supposed to be like, you know, the young guy who won the fight.
Right.
Right?
The brawn.
And so Gilliam died. And there's like this big moment where Gilliam's like, you need to keep going. And Chris Evans says, how am I supposed to, like, what are we supposed to do? And he's like, you were meant to lead this revolution.
Yeah.
Like, I was just here to help you out. And Chris Evans is like crying and everything. And that's when I realized, so I this whole time did not realize everyone in the back of the train is missing an arm. Never do they say that.
No, not everybody. Just most people. People who have been in trouble.
There's a huge twist at the end.
Alright, yes, dude. I feel like there really is.
So maybe then Chris Evans says to Gilliam, because Gilliam's like, you are supposed to lead this. And Chris Evans says, well, how am I supposed to lead with both of my arms? Right? Because he wants to represent the people who live in the back of the train who don't have both of their arms.
Right.
But he does have both his arms.
Right.
And then Gilliam dies as soon as he says that.
Right. I forget how Gilliam dies, honestly.
Didn't he get shot? I thought he got shot.
I think he did get shot. I think he got shot by the kindergarten teacher, actually. Yeah. Then the kindergarten teacher was the first one to, like, he was the first one that got shot by the kindergarten, just, like, point blank. I believe that's how he died. So, okay.
We're pretty close to the front of the train now.
Yeah, we're getting closer. So, yeah, so that dude comes and, like, kills all those people, and then Curtis ends up killing him. The daughter almost kills him, but then the electrician grabs her hand right before she can stab him, and he, like, forces her to drop the knife on the ground. And then Curtis is, like, laying next to him, like, almost knocked out, and he, like, grabs a knife and just, like, because the other dude's on the ground, too.
And I wish I could have seen this shit.
And, like, stabs him. Dude, it's so badass. I want to watch this movie again. So yeah, so then now it's just them three that are moving. The daughter, the electrician, and Curtis. And they're moving through the front of the trains, and they're seeing finally all the high life. They're seeing everybody in, like, fur coats, and, like, like, they're eating steak, they're getting their hair done.
In my head, it looked like District 1 in the Hunger Games, or the Capitol or whatever, in the Hunger Games.
More or less, yeah. I've only seen the Hunger Games once, but I think from what I can remember, yeah. It was more or less, it was like you ever seen Murder on the Orient Express?
No.
Okay. Think like a very, like, the typical, like, Clue style train that's like...
Well, there's, like, fucking crazy party music going on the whole time.
Yeah.
They, like, are going through a rave, and it sounds like a bunch of dudes that I hate at a bar, like, shouting at each other and doing lines.
They're all, like, chilling in, like, little, like, pits, and they're all just, like, sniffing that stuff.
The Chrono?
The Chrono. They're all sniffing the Chrono and drinking alcohol. Meanwhile, so the daughter sees all this. She starts sniffing, drinking all this. As they get to the front of the train, they get to the front gate, I believe she ODs. It, like, happens so quick, but she just, like, passes out.
Fuck. I mean, so she was helping them with, like, opening gates and shit.
Yeah.
And every time she helped them with something, she would just look at Chris Evans and go, Chrono.
Yeah. So then they get to the gate, and then the electrician goes, Chrono, and then Chris Evans gets fucking pissed and starts beating the shit out of him. And he's just like, this is...
Yeah,
like,
dude, it was fucking insane.
Yeah, and he starts, like, banging on the gate because he realizes, like, he's there, and he's, like, fucking intense, and he's, like, ready. And then they beat the shit out of each other, then they're just laying on the ground, and then luckily this is where the electrician talks a lot, so I got a lot of subtitles.
Fuck you.
And he basically tells him, he's like, this whole time I've been showing my daughter looking out the window, because when I used to work on this train, I would see the top end of a crashed airplane in that valley over the bridge. But today, when we looked at it, the whole plane was visible. It's like, that means the snow is melting. It's like, that means the ice is melting. That means that we can possibly survive out there. It's like, the whole reason I came with you is not to open this gate, but to open that gate. He points to the wall. He's like, you would think that's just the wall, but that's the gate. And he's like, we open that gate, we can be home free. I guarantee we can survive out there now. And so he's like, we don't need to get to the front anymore. Fuck that guy. Let's get outside. So that was like my whole plot twist. That was like, that I got.
What?
And that's when he's like, Chrono, he's like, I've actually been stashing it. I don't really give a shit about it. And he's like, he molds it into like a little C4 bomb and puts it on the door. And he's like, I'm going to blow this thing and then we're going to get out of here. But right when he's about to do it, the gate opens up that they're trying to get out of. And then the girl who was taking all the kids from the beginning of the movie shoots him right in the like chest or something. And then he like goes down instantly. And then she like calls Chris Evans in. And then Chris
so she
Evans
calls
goes,
him
yeah.
into Wilford's office,
Right.
like the front room.
Yeah, and this is the whole part where it's like, I get they talk. This is probably where the twist happens.
There was a lot of talking.
A lot of talking. Basically, all I know is they sat down and had like a steak dinner. And Chris Evans didn't eat shit. He was like, didn't touch anything.
Yeah, he was pissed that they were having steak, and so Wilford was kind of a dick about it. Like, he
Yeah,
was
no shit.
literally saying things about, like, oh yeah, would you like a steak? Like, I know it's been a while since you've had one, type of thing. And he straight up says to Chris Evans, like, right off the bat, like, oh, I've never been to the back of the train. Like, I don't even know what it's like back there.
Dude.
And he basically, mentioned, like, oh, I created this train because I knew the CW7 was going to cool the world, blah, 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 right? But Chris Evans goes into this thing. Dude, I might need to look at my notes for this because I don't want to spoil it for you by you reading my notes. And so Chris Evans goes into, he says to him, like, Wilford, do you know what I hate? And, oh wow, at the top. Okay, cool. You know what I hate about myself? I know what people taste like.
Oh.
I know that babies taste the best.
Oh, man. So this dude's eating people?
When they cut people's arms off,
Yeah.
that is... So, then Chris Evans goes into a big thing. I don't think Wilford knows about the protein blocks. Because Chris Evans says, let me tell you a story. And he starts going into the story about, oh, there was this baby in the back of the train 13 years ago or whatever. And a guard had to go up to him, or like someone had to go up to him, and it was their job to put a knife in him and send him down because the protein blocks used to be made of the young.
Oh my god.
So when that number of people got too high, they would send all the children down to become the protein blocks.
Ugh.
And he was like, that person, it was their job to put a knife in this baby, and they dropped that knife, and one man ran up and just cut his own arm off right there and handed it to the staff and said, use this instead. And immediately, apparently, everyone in the back of the train started cutting off their limbs and saying, just use this.
Wow.
Stop killing the young.
Jesus.
So they stockpiled everybody's arms and put those in the protein blocks.
Ugh.
And so when they cut people's limbs off, that's what becomes the protein blocks.
Oh, that's horrible.
And that's what they're feeding to...
They're feeding it back to them.
They're feeding it back to them, yeah.
Oh my god.
So Chris Evans reveals this to Wilford, but I think Wilford knew kind of the whole time. But he reveals this to the movie, to the listener, to the audience.
Yeah, right.
And he goes, that person who was supposed to put a knife in that baby was me, and that baby was Edgar.
Oh,
He was
shit.
like, Edgar just died for this movement. And the person whose arm that was Gilliam.
Oh, wow. Oh, so
And-
it's all connected. That's cool.
And then we learn,
God, that's really cool.
Wilford says to Chris Evans, well, Gilliam made this train with me. Gilliam knew the whole time. Gilliam is on my team. He's my second in command.
Whoa.
And Chris Evans is like, I don't believe a fucking word you're saying.
Yeah.
He's like, Gilliam is like my role model. He like helped me start this whole movement. And we learned that the plan was originally the front of the train can only survive if the front and the back work together. So Gilliam was put in the back of the train to be in charge of it for Wilford.
Right.
So they were supposed to be teaming up. So Gilliam originally was in cahoots with Wilford the whole time, saying like, yeah, I'll go and be in the back of the train. I'll make sure they eat, each other and shit. And it was that moment when Gilliam realized, fuck, this is fucked up. So he cut off his own arm and he said, here.
So then he like changed.
He changed.
Damn.
Yeah, so now Gilliam led the revolution
Right.
against Wilford, and that's why he knew so much, and that's why he knew it would work.
Right. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so much was revealed right there.
Yeah.
And then, do you know what Wilford says to Chris Evans at the end of this whole conversation?
It could be anything. I don't know. I didn't hear it.
So first of all, he hands him like something, and it's like a note or something.
Yeah.
They didn't read it out loud.
So he like gets him in the front of the train, and it's like the engine part.
Oh yeah, so he
It's,
takes
like,
him
really
to see the
beautiful.
engine.
Yeah, he's like basically standing in the engine. So a lot of lights, very beautiful, and then we find out he like gives him the bullet that we've been seeing the whole time that he's been receiving the messages from. So it's been Wilford that's been sending the message, and he writes on it, train. That's what he writes in the last one. It says, at first I heard the way he unraveled it, it said TRA. I thought it was gonna say trap, and then like it's gonna be like a trap. And
Oh shit!
I was like, oh, that would have fucking been cool. But no, it said train. That's all it said. It's just been one word clues.
So he hands him the note, and then he tells Chris Evans, I'm getting old. Someone needs to take my job. I want you to do it.
What the?
I want you to take my position.
What?
Yeah. And he's like, there's no one better to do it than you.
What the fuck?
And, dude, the movie fucking ended.
No, not yet.
But, like, there was definitely that was not like, oh, I want you to do the job, boom, roll credits.
Yeah.
It was like, I want you to take my job. Music for the entire rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And then
Oh my god, well, let me fill you in. Because there's a lot that happens here.
Really?
Oh my god, so then what happens is all the rich people in the back start retaliating. They start realizing that these people are like taking over the front of the train. So they start coming up with like weapons and shit. The guy who they thought they killed, who killed the acrobat and the mom and all that, is not dead apparently. He's just wounded. So he's like leading it. He's leading the front of it.
So now the upper class are rising against the lower class who rose against them?
Yes.
Okay.
And so now the daughter wakes up, and the daughter is like, "Oh my god, what's going on? What's happening?" And then, she like wakes up her dad, and her dad gets up. So now her dad's like fighting off the dude again, and is like fighting off all these people by himself because there's like a tiny bridge. They have to come like one by one, and he's like fighting off all these people and shit. And then like the girl, because you got to think. So while Curtis is talking to Wilford, the girl is still there, like watching. She has like a gun to his back, kind of thing, like making sure he doesn't act out. And then she goes and like tries to battle the daughter and shit, like get behind them and stuff. But what happens is the daughter puts the drugs or whatever it's called, chrono on the door finally, and she lights it. And that like then she like runs with her dad, and they like run to Curtis, who at this point, man, what happened to Curtis? What happened to Wilford?
I don't know.
Dude, I think he just like was just standing there. He was just like chilling, dude. Like he never got shot or anything. So what ends up happening is Curtis like he lifts a panel and sees like a kid underneath, and he's like working with gears and shit. And then so he like pulls the kid out, right? And it's kind of symbolic because like to pull him out, he has to like stick his hand in one of the gears to stop the gear from moving. So it's like almost like it's hurting his hand, his arm, and he pulls out the kid in the other arm. So then to save the kid, he like hurls his body around him, and then the electrician and the daughter do the same thing right when the thing's about to blow up. And then that blows up, and it blows up and derails the entire train. So the entire train like starts fucking flipping, and there's like a whole avalanche that starts falling.
What the fuck,
And then, dude, it all happens so quick. That's why I'm like, I don't remember how Wilford died, and it's killing me.
Dude, because like when Wilford was talking to Chris Evans, I knew there was still fighting going on, because like Wilford kept calling or asking, I guess, that lady, and she would say, oh yeah, that's right, there's 74% of them are going to die. And like Wilford kept saying to Chris Evans during that conversation, he'd be like, just so you know, 74% of the people like you are going to be dying right now. Just a reminder.
Yeah. Oh my god. Dude, I can't. I'm trying to remember. It's killing me.
Dude, it was fucking crazy.
So anyway, aside from Wilford, let's just assume he blew up in the explosion, because like everybody blew up. The only people who survived the crash were the daughter and the kid. So then the daughter, like they like walk out from the crash, from the rubble.
What?
They pick themselves up, like dusting themselves off, making sure they're okay. And then the daughter looks up and sees a polar bear. and then it ends. And that's the whole movie.
Dude. This movie sounds like it was so fucking cool.
Dude, how did Wilford die?
I mean, I guess he died in the explosion.
Yeah, but I feel like he was such a big character, they probably would have killed him better. Oh my god, if we were watching it alone like we used to, I could go back and like rewind it, you know, I could have. But because we were watching it, there was so much happening, it was
Yeah, man, that was fucking insane.
Oh my god, okay, so that movie was off the charts.
Dude, that twist at the end where we find out that like they're eating each other.
That's a fucked up twist.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. And you had no idea the whole train got derailed. Like, there's no more train anymore.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so I assume the TV show takes place before this then.
I thought Chris Evans just took over the train. I thought he took over Wilford's job.
He just like came out looking like the Polar Express, like a cap on. Hey, Avengers!
All tickets out, all tickets out.
Yeah, right. All tickets out, all tickets out. Tickets, gotta get your tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, dude, the whole train got derailed. Oh my god. All right, so what do you rate this movie then?
Dude, I gotta give it a 10.
You give it a 10?
Yeah,
okay, what do you give
it
the
was so
movie or the
engaging.
experience?
The experience, I'll give it an 8.
Okay.
But like, cause there was a lot. No, fuck it. I'll give this experience a 9.
A 9, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I
It was 2 hours, but it never felt like 2 hours. I was never
It
sitting there
never
like,
felt
oh
2 hours.
fuck, this needs to end. Like,
Dude, when it ended, you were like, you said something when it ended. You were like, oh, it's finally over or something.
oh, I hit a dab,
Oh.
but
No, you said something like, oh, finally or something. And in my mind, I was like, oh my god, I hope he didn't hate it. I hope he doesn't go into the shitting on it.
no,
was like,
dude,
'cause this movie
it
was-
so
had
cool.
my
It was just so
attention.
hard because like a lot of it was music, a lot of it was
Yeah.
with gunshots, and also like I just so badly wanted to see what was happening.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I so badly wanted to see it, man.
Dude, I really badly wanted to hear, like, the ins and outs of what was happening. Like, the disgusting part that they eat each other. That's horrible. Oh my
yeah,
god.
dude, it was fucking crazy. This movie.
This movie was bizarre. Yeah, no, I agree. I give it 10 out of 10. Like, that was one of the better times I've had watching a movie without sound. I mean, I was like glued to the TV the whole
Wow,
time.
dude, there was definitely. I thought I heard you like groaning.
Yeah, because like disgusting stuff was happening. Or they'd like be in combat and you'd like see a dude's arm get like snapped in half or
Fuck,
something.
dude. I thought you were
So it
out
was
here
like,
just like, oh, fuck, it's taking forever.
Oh no, dude! I was like, I mean, at first I started laying down, and by the end of it, I was like sitting up, like watching it.
Yeah, man. What a great movie.
Oh my god, that dude deserves a lot of credit, Bong Joon-ho. Good for him,
Yeah.
dude. Good for him. Good for him for making a good movie. So, oh my god. Well, damn, guys. All I can say is like, if you haven't seen Snowpiercer, go and watch that movie.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna
Honestly.
I'm gonna watch that sometime either tonight or tomorrow, dude. That was
Dude.
so much fun.
It really was. It was such a good world, such a good environment, such a good idea. Once again, really good script, really good execution, really good characters, all
Great
around.
actors.
Great actors,
Yeah.
dude, all around, fantastic film. Well, guys, in the meantime, follow us on our social medias.
Yeah, follow the podcast at Hear No See No Movie on Instagram, or we're just Hear No Movie See No Movie on Facebook.
That's right. That's right. We've recently dove back into Facebook and taken it over. So
yeah, and if you guys have any suggestions, anything you ever want to say to us, feel free to post it on the Facebook page.
please.
I'd love for that to like become like a discussion board for just movies in general. You know, if you guys have a movie you like or you want us to do, but Evan and I have both already seen it,
Right.
we'd love to talk with you about it. That's like our favorite thing in the world.
That literally is that's why this whole podcast started, was so that we could talk about movies, because that's what we love to do.
Yeah, we just wanted to do it different than most.
I've actually like started to come to the realization that because of this podcast and because we're like just watching so much stuff in our free time anyway right now, I think I'm gonna run out of movies soon. I think there's gonna be a point where I run out of movies and shows.
Fucking better to do than
That's what
watch
I'm
movies
saying.
and shows.
I'm gonna run out of movies and shows, and I'm gonna have a problem.
It's funny because you watch a ton of shit like regularly.
Yeah.
I don't and you know that about me. I never sit down and like watch a TV show. Like I never binge a show.
Yeah,
I
you'll
only
watch
go
like
to
a
the theater.
season, and then you'll be like, "Oh, you got to watch this show," and
Yeah.
then you'll never finish it.
Yeah,
You got me onto so many shows
that
then
I don't finish.
and I'll finish it. Like, yo, what about that season finale? And you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, dude, I'll be like, oh, I just dropped off.
Yeah.
I'm really bad. Like I have.
You got
commitment
me into
issues or
Rick and
something.
Morty, and then never finished it.
Oh, dude, yeah, fuck that. I probably won't. I
I
just
can't believe
pissed
that.
off a whole fan base. That I
Yeah, the whole
don't
fan
want
base of
to
Rick and
tag.
Morty is a little weird, but
But even I'm at the point now where I'm like, fuck, dude. I'm also at a point where like I want to watch certain movies, but I can't because it's like, well, I have to listen to that like in a month, or like I'll think like, oh, that'll be a really good one to do for the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big problem too.
Um,
That's why we're always asking. We ask each other all the time, oh, you've seen this movie? And like 50% of the time, it's like, please say you have so that I can watch it right now.
So I can watch it right now, yeah. So I don't have to listen to
Like,
it.
I'm so glad you've seen Fight Club, because I haven't seen Fight Club, and that's on my list to watch in the next coming days.
Oh,
Watch
yeah?
Fight Club, yeah.
Let me know when you do, man.
Yeah, I might
I'll
watch
come
it.
over.
Yeah. Come over, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, back on that though, I'd love for our Facebook group to become a discussion board for movies.
Yes.
Make it more of a community rather than just posting.
Like diplomatic,
Yeah.
diplomatic as it is. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And you can also, follow us on our Instagrams and at Twitters. Follow Hunter at HDS247.
And you can follow Evan at EvanDuncan4.
Yeah. Other than that, guys, we don't have any shout outs to give because nobody's
Because you're all fucking lazy bums.
all
but-
lazy. You know what? No, wait. We did have one engagement that we should mark on.
Who?
Your boy, Cameron.
Oh, because he commented on
He
your
commented.
Yeah.
You
Well, my
know?
mom commented.
Your mom? Hey, shouts to your mom.
Yeah,
Shouts to
my
Cam,
mom. Shouts out to Cameron.
who said I looked like Willie Nelson in the last episode.
We were both looking. Dude, I looked at that. I was like, we look like we've been in the house for a long time.
Oh, yeah. I had to shave after that comment. Thanks,
I did
Cameron.
too. I looked at it and I was like, now I gotta shave.
Yeah, same. Dude, I had to edit that, and it was just me staring at us look like wildebeests. And I was like, all right, let's get this out of here.
Oh.
Get these bums out of here. Luckily, though, it fit with the Harold and Kumar episode, which we nailed, by the way. 'Cause
Yeah,
it
we
came
did
out
not know.
on 4/20, which we had no idea it was.
Yeah, we had no idea that was gonna happen. We were like planning out the next like month and a half of movies.
Dude.
And we were like, oh, we actually were gonna do a different movie, and we were sitting here. We were like, you want to do Harold and Kumar instead?
Yeah.
And we did it just like on a whim, and then it came out on 4/20, and we were like, oh, perfect.
Perfect, dude.
So
It really was a whim. Like, we had it up on Netflix, and we were about to watch Snowpiercer, I think, instead.
yeah.
And they were like, well, wait, what about Harold and Kumar?
Yeah,
We were like,
and we
oh,
didn't even
let's do it.
mention like, oh, we should do this right now because tomorrow's 4/20.
Not
like,
at all,
yeah.
dude. Just did it. Oh my god, that was the best moment, best behind the scenes moment of hearing a movie, seeing a movie that no one will ever be able to experience but us.
Oh, because I woke up to a text from you and it was like, yo, did you realize we put Harold and Kumar out on 4/20? And I was like, oh shit, we're good at this, dude.
Yeah, we're good, dude. We really are. So hell yeah, guys! Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, be
And
sure
all
to
your
rate,
support.
review, and subscribe, and tell your friends.
This is episode like 48, 46, I don't know, something.
It's in the
like
40s.
that. It's
Yeah.
definitely in the high 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hell yeah, guys. Anything else? No.
No, so I guess that this
This is an outro.